Good morning, world history. Today is Tuesday, September 15th, and today I'm going to show you how to do the second part of the Intro to Classical Civilizations assignment that we started yesterday during live instruction. I'll also review how to do the first part of it if you need a refresher. Also, towards the end of this video, I will show you how to submit your Memrise assignment. Remember, you have until Thursday to get that done, and you will have a quiz on those terms on Friday, and it should be pretty straightforward. So without further ado, here we go. So yesterday we started on this first page that says what and when was the classical era and what makes a civilization classical. We started talking about periodization, or how historians organize time into chunks or periods based on things that events have in common, and we practice that with doing a timeline of our own life. So in order to edit on this timeline here, you have to double click on it, and this drawing box should pop up. From here, you can add text, and I would recommend making the text smaller, probably like size 8 or 9, so that it doesn't get too cramped. So you're going to choose 5 events in your life that you feel are significant that have occurred up to this point. So for me, yesterday I chose the birth of my sister. And if you know the date, that's great. And if you don't, that's also fine. Just try to put them in chronological order. And then I'm going to choose moved to Bridgewater. I'm really showing my age here, guys, with these dates in the 90s. So if I were the freshman version of myself, these are probably the 5 events that I would choose. So the next part of this assignment asks you to come up with 3 different periods for your timeline. I showed one class yesterday a way to do this on the timeline itself. This is not required, but if you wish to do it, then here you go. So I would recommend going to shapes, which is this like square and circle icon up here, and clicking probably this square. And then underneath the events that you are going to group together, you can put your square. So I'm going to call this one early childhood. I'm going to call this one intermediate/middle school. And I'm going to call the last one high school. So as a reminder, these periods all have to have something in common. So yesterday, some people chose to break up their timeline like this into periods of childhood and different different phases of schooling. You could do it based on where you lived. So if you have moved around, some people did it based on they were living with. And you can also choose other ways to do that, like if you played a sport, or you had a hobby at a time, or you had an idea about what you wanted to do with your life that changed. Your periodization can be whatever makes sense to you. You're going to hit save and close, and then your timeline is on your Google Doc. Next, you're going to tell me, how did you determine which events to group together into a time period, and why did you choose the names you chose for each time period? So just tell me what your thought process was and why that particular periodization makes sense to you. For number 2, the question asks, if you gave your timeline to someone else without the time periods marked, What other ways might they break up the events in your life into eras, and why might their labels be different? So you're just going to think of an alternate way that you can divide up your timeline into periods. So if you chose different phases of schooling, like elementary, middle, high school, maybe you could choose this one based on location or something else. So I've talked a lot about periodization. So what does that mean? So periodization is simply the process or study of dividing the past into periods of time and naming them. So yesterday I talked about how you may have heard of certain periods already, like the Jurassic period, the Cretaceous period, if you're into like archaeology and dinosaurs and things like that. And also periodization can be like BCE and CE. But we are talking about a particular period called the classical era. And before we get into that, we'll think a little bit about maybe some periods that you've heard about. So for this next page, you're going to read the names of time periods and draw an image that best represents them and explain what you think these eras were like. So for the image, you can do one of two things. You can either create a drawing on the Google Doc, or you can use Google image search and place an image in here. So I will show you how to do both. So to put a web image in here, you're just going to go to Insert, Image, search the web. And here you'll have this dialog pop up on the side that says Google Images and a search bar. And in that search bar, you can write in best years of my life and see what comes up. I'm going to choose that image right there because that looks, I don't know, to me that looks like what the best years of one's life might look like. Also, you might choose to put a drawing in that you created yourself. Now, if you want to draw this and then take a picture of it with your phone and upload it as an image, you are more than welcome to do that. I am not by any means an artistic person, but all that you would have to do is just save that picture as an image, email it to yourself, and copy paste. But if you just want to draw something in Google Docs itself, you can also do that. So you go to Insert, Drawing, and you click New. And so this is the same box that you saw when you were doing your timeline. So from here, if you go down this line icon and you go to Scribble, you can just draw whatever you want. So if I was going to draw the Dark Ages, I don't know, I might draw a person who, as you can tell, I can't draw at all. I don't know, this person has the plague. Although they definitely probably didn't have masks at the time, but you get the idea. Hit save and close once you are done. And my lovely, extremely artistic drawing is now there. So this next part, you are then going to, you're going to explain in words what you think each of those periods were like. So just a sentence is completely fine for this next part. Finally, you're going to do this last bit that says, what is the classical era? When was the classical era? And what makes a civilization so-called classical? So for question 1, you are going to tell me, what do the words classic and classical make you think of? Here, you can just list words that come to mind, or people, or places, or anything at all. On the side here, you have a definition of the classical era, period, or age. They're all interchangeable. They all mean the same exact thing. And you notice here that we have BCE to CE. So I mentioned before that in this class, we use BCE and BCE and CE instead of BC and AD. Number 2 says to circle the words or phrases in the definition that you don't know or you are confused by. Obviously, you can't really circle on a Google Doc. So I would like you to highlight. So let's say you don't really know the word complex. Highlight it or highlight it with your cursor and then go to the highlight icon and select whichever color you wish. And then based on this definition, why do you think we study the classical era? So now I'm going to show you how to submit your Memrise once you are done with it. Please do not submit until you have completed the course. And when you complete the course, you should see course complete and not session complete. When you are done with this course, you will see this bar at the top, say 12 out of 12 words in long-term memory, and this will be completely yellow. So in order to submit this, you are just going to take a screenshot showing me your progress bar. And I would like you to preferably have your username somewhere in it. So if you just can include this icon up here that I know it's you, then that is perfect. And you are going to submit that screenshot in your assignment on Google Classroom. Again, that is not due until Thursday. As always, if you have any questions or concerns or you need some help, please reach out to me on Remind through email, and I'm more than happy to walk you through it that way. And also, I can get on Google Meet with you and talk you through it during your scheduled class time or during office hours from 3 to 4 this afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful day, World History, and I will see you live on Google Meet tomorrow.